If there is a God at all, is God the measure of love, or is love the measure of God? And in the end, what rules? Reason, virtue, power, or simply fear? A devout man was inviting an Andean woman to Christianity. He said, Jesus taught us to be loving, never to hate, and even to love our enemies. The woman said, so you didn't know love before Jesus? Was it out of love that you drenched the Andes and Mexico in blood for Christianity? He said, misguided Christians committed those crimes. Jesus never approved of such actions. She said, Jesus himself said, you will know a tree by its fruit. What about the Inquisition, religious wars, and the church's executions? Aren't they the very fruit of Jesus' life? He said, do not pin the sins of shallow Christians on Jesus himself. She said, I'm talking about the root of those sins, a root I trace back to Jesus' own teachings. He said, why do you think so? She said, Jesus makes salvation hinge on surrendering to him. But Jesus isn't here to clarify his will. The church is the only loudspeaker of Christ. So in practice, surrender to Christ becomes surrender to the church. He said, to me, the church is not Christ's representative. Scripture bears witness to him. Read it and you'll see how much Jesus speaks of love and compassion. She said, that's what you think. But most Christians worldwide would disagree. Both Catholic and Orthodox traditions officially call the church the body, the continuation of Christ. Besides, Scripture identifies Jesus with the God of the Torah, and in the Torah, God repeatedly commands slaughter, even of children and women. He said, I read those passages in Jesus' light, just as I understand love in his light. She said, when the church was killing its opponents, it said the same thing. They called it remedial punishment. So you're admitting, just like the church, that your ultimate criterion is Jesus, not love. He said, Jesus is love. God is love. She said, this God of love commanded faith-driven killings. Besides, does a God of love set conditions for salvation? Conditions that clash with conscience and reason? For you, the final authority is Jesus. So if one day, for whatever reason, you become convinced Jesus wants you to fight, you'll obey and fight. He said, Jesus' will never changes, love for all. She said, how can you predict the will of someone you've never seen? Someone who explicitly identified himself with the God of the Torah. In fact, you're interpreting Jesus in the light of love, not love in the light of Jesus. Hindus do the same with Krishna, and Muslims with Muhammad. And Jesus isn't alive to say anything. He said, Jesus is alive. She said, other religions claim the same about their own figures. I just need a reason to believe Jesus is truly different. He said, Jesus has always existed. That's the reason. He is God. His birth was simply God made manifest in human form. She said, that's just another recycled claim made by other religions long before Christianity. He said, perhaps they were seeking God too. They mistook someone else for God. She said, or perhaps Christians mistakenly saw God in Jesus. Do you really think these claims prove anything? Even if I accept that Jesus is love, can you ignore the gulf between the definition of Jesus and the definition of love? Jesus is a person, love is a concept. Anyway, tell me this, what's your aim in worshipping Jesus? He said, I want to imitate Jesus and become like him. This discipleship will continue in heaven after death. She said, to me, discipleship means learning, not imitation, and not becoming a copy of the master. In my view, trying to become like someone else, even the best of beings, is a grave mistake. You did not come to be a copy of another, even if that other is the best human in the world, because there is already one of them. So even if there is a God, a human becoming like him doesn't add anything to the world. What a human should reach is their true self, the most beautiful self they can be. Your true self doesn't have to be like mine. However, no one truly knows the beauty within. So the first step is to seek it. Besides, even if you learn to love in heaven, that love won't help anyone but you. In a heaven full of angels with no danger and no suffering, loving is the easiest thing. Here in this world of pain is where love finds its meaning, not in an imaginary heaven where everyone is happy by default. In this life you don't have to be perfect, just try to be good. He said, but life doesn't end here, and perfection is what every seeker longs for. Other religions are like hands stretched from earth to heaven, human efforts to climb upward. They achieved certain virtues, but ultimately failed. Christianity is a hand stretched from heaven to earth, God's hand reaching down to save humanity. That's why Christians will ultimately prevail. She smiled and said, Muslims say the same about perfection, heaven, and final victory. I hope one day both of you see this simple truth. Simple ordinary goodness on earth matters far more than any miraculous perfection in a promised heaven. Evening was falling. The man said, let's continue tomorrow. Alright everyone, what do you think? Which side do you believe is closer to the truth? The final part of this story is coming soon. Let me know what you think in the comments.